Hi everyone, I'm Sarah. Welcome to the Attract Capital webinar series. I'm here with Dave Barnett, the founder and CEO of Attract Capital.
Hi everybody.
And Attract Capital has advised on hundreds of roll-up deals. So today we're going to talk about the most important moves to level up your roll-ups. So I think we should get into it. Can you tell everybody the first key to leveling up your acquisition roll-up strength?
Sure, Sarah. So in order to be strong in your roll-up game, the first key is to have a strong first acquisition. We like to describe this acquisition to our clients as the keystone acquisition because it's the acquisition from where all the operating strength comes from. And so it's got to be a high quality deal, because if it's not a high quality deal, it doesn't have the business fundamentals, and you generally have a much lower chance of roll-up success.
Sure.
So it's got to be high quality. It has to have good size. It has to have good management depth. And it's also the focal point through which you as a potential borrower will be telling the story to the lender. So it's important for the narrative viewpoint of the story. And it's also important, as I mentioned just a few seconds ago, for operating strength. You've got to have good operating strength.
So you mentioned operating strength is really important. Why is it so important?
Because the biggest thing in a roll-up, Sarah, is you're doing a lot of acquisitions at once. And when you do a lot of acquisitions at once, it's the ability to integrate those acquisitions into that first company. And so if you don't have operating strength, you really don't have much of a chance as sort of integrating.
So there's not going to be as much like good change management. There's going to be operational issues too.
Absolutely right. It's all about change management. So if you don't have operating strength, if you don't have good managers, you don't have really a good chance at that.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So we talked about the first acquisition and how that's really important, but what I'm sure it doesn't always work out. So what if your first deal is kind of a clinker, it's not that good? What should people do then?
It's a big issue if the first deal is not a clinker, because an acquisition roll-up is all about multiple acquisitions in a short period of time. So it's about the velocity of the speed. So if the first deal is a clinker, it could really slow you down, and it really could impact your ability to meet your targeted returns, because you have a lot of debt in the company, and it's hard to get back on track when you have a leveraged debt structure. So the first deal is really important, and if it's a clinker, it lowers your chance of ultimate success.
Gotcha. Okay, well, we talked about the first acquisition. We know why that's so important now, especially if it goes badly. But there are some other keys as well. Can you let us know what those are?
Sure, sir. So consolidation rationale. So just because you want to do a roll-up, because you have an idea that it would be interesting to put all these companies under the same ownership, it doesn't mean that that industry necessarily lends itself to being rolled up. So you have to have a very clear understanding of what the acquisition rationale is. If you can't explain it simply, then there really isn't a benefit to consolidating. So sometimes it's hard for people to understand that, but not all small businesses benefit from being under a common ownership structure. So that's the first, strong consolidation rationale. The second is, we get a lot of phone calls from people that want to buy businesses and industries they have absolutely no understanding of.
Yeah, that's not going to work. I don't think
it doesn't
so.
make sense. It kind of seems odd, or like, why would somebody pursue that? But to what you just said, like, if you don't have experience in the industry, best to stay away from it. The third is, you've got to have real equity capital to invest. So equity capital is the underpinning to being able to do a roll-up. You cannot do a roll-up with 100% debt financing. So you want to make sure that you have your equity kind of raised and spoken for before you embark on the roll-up. And the fourth one, to make the fifth key, would be, you want to have a buyer history of operational integration.
Sure.
You want to see that the person who is really the jockey that's sort of on the horse has done this before and has been successful getting through these navigational challenges before.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. It goes back to the having good management and trust that stuff's going to get done when you make the acquisition. So yeah, that sounds great. And yeah, I think we have it, our 5 keys of acquisition roll-up expertise. So I hope everyone was able to learn a little something from that. So thanks everybody for tuning in, and we will see you at the next webinar.
Thank you.
Bye.